Ivan had just logged into chess.com and immediately lost a knight. What? How could this happen? Ivan, 99% of the game you focused on just one pawn. Of course it'll happen. Ivan had just found a few ideas to solve his tunnel vision in chess, and his rating just skyrocketed like never before. Improving in chess as a beginner is most likely one of the easiest things to do if you know how to do this right. So let me show you now an example where what you're gonna see right now applies to all beginners. So basically every beginner in chess is following to this problem. And once you're gonna avoid this problem, you're gonna see a very quick level up like the ones that you see online as well. So let's start. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop e7. Every move right now is a normal opening move, nothing is too special. Bishop to c4, bishop e7, d4, knight takes d4. Usually, by the way, this is a mistake, but take it as in a grain of salt. If you're black as a beginner, never ever do a move like this. It loses a pawn and the knight will be under threat. So here's what's gonna happen. Knight takes on e5. I just show you this from black's perspective, just so that if you don't understand the problem. White can take and now your knight is under threat as well. So this is a big problem for white, for black. So knight takes d4. But the real mistake, the major mistake happens when you do not even try to defend a knight like this. Now, if using the hint that I've just given you as black, as a beginner, try to use the thinking rhythm that is called checks, captures, and threats. Can I check something? Can I capture? Can I make a threat? And if you can't, obviously, then you need to find another move and ask, what move are you going to do in an example like this one? So using the thinking rhythm that we've just talked about, checks, captures, and threats, can we check? Yes, we can check in a few different ways, but none of them seems like a good way because our knight will just straight up be taken. Okay, so we discard given checks. Captures, the same thing. We cannot capture anything in a way that will be beneficial to us. Threats, we can make a threat, for example, for the knight here, but again, none of them seem like a very good option. Most of the time they're going to be used against us in a lot of variations. I think you can see this already as a beginner. When you see a move like this, for example, like giving a threat, which is bad, you discard it immediately. You do not even try to continue to see the variation that follows because there's no point. So what is it that we see? We see that our knight is being under threat by itself, and also that our pawn is being under threat by a bishop, because the bishop can capture here, the knight can also capture. This is a problem. We need to find, of course, a way to solve this problem and try to figure out. Now that we know there is a threat that is being done for us, okay, once we discarded all the checks, captures, and threats, and we see a threat that's being done for us, we need to first of all figure out how to solve that particular threat, which in this example is clear. How are we going to solve this one? So the solution is very simple. We can use the same knight that is just under threat and just move it back. Now the bishop cannot aim at the pawn, and the knight will not take it in a team. So the pawn cannot be taken now by white, which is great for us. Now, of course, this is not winning for us as black because we have just made recently the mistake of knight takes on d4 in here, but this is not losing, so we can still like try to fight, maybe get a draw, maybe a win, but we can still fight. Black, and I'll show you what black did after knight takes e5. Black completely ignored the threat upon this knight and upon this pawn. Black have made the move c6. c6. Now this is losing for us because white is very simply gonna take. Now white is winning. However, the mistake c6 is not just a mistake that happens in games like this. This is a mistake that happens for all beginners. If you're a beginner right now, I can guarantee go into the past 3 games, even 1, and try to see if a mistake like this happens, where you ignore a threat that happens on the board right now, and you end up straight up losing material because of this. This mistake is very common in any rating below 1300. It is extremely common. Even better is actually to wait with it. How do we solve this problem? Because if you're a beginner, it's gonna keep happening to you as a beginner unless you solve this. The only way to get out of the beginner phase is to solve mistakes like this, alright? The mistake itself, the name that it has, is called tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is when you over focus onto one part of the board Sometimes it's a misclick, but that mistake makes you lose completely a piece or in a different part of the board. So for example, in here, that is tunnel vision. Focusing too much on one side and neglecting completely another side. How do we solve this? We've just talked about how do we solve this. First of all, you ask checks, captures, and threats. Can I give a certain check over the board? Can I capture something? Can I make a threat? If all of them are discarded, you then ask, okay, is there any threat from my side of the board? Is there a check that my opponent can give? Is there a capture that they can make? Basically, you're asking checks, captures, and threats for you. And then you're also asking the same questions for your opponent. It takes a little while to get adjusted into this, but once you do it, it is very simple to apply and fix and leave the beginner stages of chess. So let me show you now another example. This one happened again in the opening. A lot of time mistakes like this will happen either in the opening. A lot of time mistakes like this will happen either in the opening or the more central stages of the game, which is the middle game. e4, e5, knight of 3, knight c6, bishop to c4, h6. Something else that you need to know. Moves like h6, moves like this are considered by default bad moves. Notice what happens to the bar before the move. Bishop to c4, so far it's completely equal. Put 1, it's still considered equal. And then after h6, now white gains an advantage, right? This is plus 0.69 in favor of white, meaning white has now a small advantage. When it is above 1, white has a major advantage, and when it is above 2, it's basically winning for white. And the opposite for black. Why is this considered bad? Because it doesn't follow something that is called opening principles. Basically, in the opening, we want to do a few basic things. We want to have our pieces make control over the center. This is why the computer suggests to move with the knight. When the computer, it says with a green arrow, it's a computer suggested move. The computer basically suggests to move here with the knight because, again, knight here will help us control more parts of the center. Maybe not completely control, but put more pressure towards them, which is the better word for this. This move does nothing. We want to put control over the center and then castle, which is what white does perfectly. Black, of course, doesn't, and now white gains the advantage. Just for general information. d4 happens, and then after this, black does the mistake, knight takes on d4. Now again, it is the same mistake that a lot of beginners are falling down for. Now we can use a blunder like this to just win material. And now white is basically winning, but also black, unlike in the previous example, haven't even developed a bishop because of the move h6. So this now gives, unlike the previous example, a major advantage for white, and now he's winning. This knight is now completely under threat, and black has only one choice right now, which is to move it back. And funny enough, in this particular example, without this bishop, it's better to move the knight not to e6, but actually to lose the pawn and move it to c6. Take a look into what happens in your own free time with a board. But again, this is the problem that exists for them. Now in the previous example, they've lost a pawn because of tunnel vision, and now in here it is the same thing as well. But we're not done yet, because this is a beginner game. Black does the move queen to e7, and now loses also the knight. So how does he lose the knight? Bishop takes, king moves, and then queen takes. Very simple. And all of this can be completely averted and stopped, okay, which is very important. Using our common theme of checks, captures, and threats. What can be checked? What can be under threat? What can be captured? We ask this for our side, and also we're asking it for the opponent as well once we're done. It is very important to do it this way in order to avoid tunnel vision. Without this, leveling up above beginner can never really happen. So now that you know the key theme that you can take from this video in order to avoid missing pieces, how are you going to practice this at home? First of all, if you have any questions, comment them in this video. I'll answer all of them directly. I'll directly comment back to you and answer this. But how are you gonna now practice it at home? Open up in chess.com something that is called puzzles, right? Like this in here, right? You can do it in here, and you can also go here to custom puzzles. Type in here, and you're gonna see, click here, and on the bottom right, you're gonna see an option to specify 2 hanging pieces, which is the purpose of this video, to avoid you from doing tunnel visions, hanging pieces, and choose that and set up for the current level of your puzzles. If you don't know what it is, write down 1200 to 1800 and practice this exact thing: checks, captures, and threats, up until it becomes very fluent for you. And you can basically see when the opponent misses a piece take, and you can do it fluently. That's the first thing. The second thing that you can do is go then to the regular games and practice it in there, but don't just try to practice it like in between the games. What I mean by practicing it, I mean asking this for the whole game, from the first move, even though it's unnecessary there, all the way to the last one, because you wanna automate this thinking process in your mind. That's the two things that you can do to fix it and level up. If you have any questions, leave them below again, and consider subscribing, because this channel is about to grow up very much. I'm about to post daily content into here, and that's it if you want to grow in chess as well. So thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.